So we're here at California's Great America. I've been to the San Jose area before, but I've never been in the park. And it's haunt. It is Halloween night, so we'll see how the crowds are. Who knows, may not be too bad. Got the orange flowers. And haunt is supposed to continue through the weekend, both here and at Six Flags. So I'm hoping that people are busy with other festivities and maybe the lines will be short here tonight. Not much of a crowd at all, although they did let us in 45 minutes early. Got to ride Patriot even before the park was officially open. Now it's a floorless coaster. It used to be a stand-up. They converted it into a floorless train, just like at Six Flags America. And this is very similar layout. I don't know if it's exactly the same or not, but it's very similar. The only difference is Firebird at Six Flags America is extremely rough with lots of headbanging and a terrible rattle. Patriot is actually pretty good. I didn't get any headbanging, didn't detect any rattle. Riding in the front row, I'll try it in the back row, see how it is. Yes, the back row was good too. The front row provided an airtime moment that the back didn't. The back might have got a little extra air, a little more air on the drop. Not much, but still, smooth ride. For an old school looper, only two inversions and a short layout, it's pretty good. It's not going to be the best floorless, of course, but at least it's not a bad one like Firebird. Gold Striker, very good GCI. Not the best GCI, but definitely good middle of the road GCI. I only had one ride on it, don't know where I would rank it, but I really like the drop, the enclosed drop. Really dark in there. Of course, it's about to, sun is about to set, so it's about to get really dark everywhere, but I really like the drop into the tunnel, or through the tunnel, and then you dive into another tunnel shortly after. It's got the Prowler kind of roughness that I like, but not quite the strength of airtime this Prowler has. There's a lot of dead moments on it. More towards the end, it really loses its steam at the end, but we'll see. I mean, it's still early in the evening. The park just opened, so it might run better later. So I should reserve judgment on that. Yes, it's time to get the RMC cred. I rode Railblazer in the front row, then the back row. There was literally nobody in the station when I walked up to do my front row ride. With no one in the station, I just went for the front row. A few people stayed on. Front row does have some advantages over the back row. Can't quite figure it out. It's all happening so fast and so insane with the rapid transitions, but yeah, just do front and back if you can. So at Fiesta, Texas, it took me a whole week to get 4 rides on Wonder Woman. And here at California's Great America, it took me 40 minutes to get 4 rides on the clone of Wonder Woman, Railblazer. And that's with riding Berserker and Demon in between. And also, it took me 2 years to finally get a front row ride on Wonder Woman. Ridden Railblazer twice in the front row. I tried multiple rows on Demon, no airtime on the drop. That's weird. Pretty much every other aero coaster I ride usually gets some airtime in the back. On that first drop, at least. But yeah, no airtime at all here. Riding Vortex a couple weeks ago, that had amazing airtime on the first drop if you ride in the back. I wonder what's wrong with this one. It's basically the same thing as the one at Six Flags Great America, which gives good airtime on the drop. Yeah, that's sad. Doesn't have the theming of the other one, doesn't have the airtime. But at least it's still, the inversions are good. Just got off Grizzly, the wooden coaster here, more towards the back of the park. And that wasn't bad, but it doesn't do much. And I don't know why in the world they have an extra seat belt fastening the lap bar to the seat. I don't know why they have that extra seat belt there, because there is literally no airtime at all on this. So you don't need any. You don't need a seat belt at all. You don't even need lap bars for this thing. You can sit in there totally loose. You ain't going anywhere. This is a good wood coaster for the kids because it doesn't do anything. It's not scary at all. And the operations are ridiculously slow. Like, it takes them forever to check lap bars. You could take a nap on the brake run while you're waiting for the next train to get checked. And if you didn't take a nap on the brake run, you'll probably take a nap on the ride. Not being a little critical here, but there really wasn't anything wrong with it. It just doesn't seem to do anything. It would benefit a lot if it had the roughness of King's Dominion's Grizzly. It's too smooth. If it were rough, that would actually give it something. And they've now cleared 4 block sections, and that car's still sitting there. And they have now cleared 5 block sections, and that car's still sitting there. Oh, what us coaster enthusiasts do for a credit. On a very dead day here at California's Great America, and not a very long line, I waited 30 minutes because it's a Wild Mouse. That's why these Wild Mouse coasters are always one and dones for me. They're actually a pretty fun ride. I actually do like them, but the line is always so stupidly long. It takes forever. Very low capacity, extraordinarily slow operations. A very short line is a half hour. But I like the Wild Mouses, especially these Aero Wild Mouses, but the line's just too long to ride it more than once. Just get the credit and move on. Ideally, go here first before it gets a line, because you're also sitting on the brake run for a while waiting to get off. And unfortunately, the most intense coaster in the park, Lucy's Cabbies, is closed during Haunt. It's a station wait. Are you kidding? There's no line. What? The park is packed now. It was dead earlier. It's packed now. What the world just happened? That was so much more intense than I thought it would be. This must be one of the older B&M inverts. This might be my 3rd favorite invert behind Montu and Banshee. It's short. It only has those 3 inversions, as I said, but man, it is intense. I lost feeling in my legs on one of the turns there. And doing it at night, that just makes it even better. I didn't know where we were going or what we were doing. You might get a little bit of headbanging. There might be some headbanging on the exit of the 2 rolls. I don't know if those were 0G rolls or corkscrews, but the 2nd and 3rd inversions exiting them, I kind of felt like I almost got some headbanging. If I didn't keep my head forward, I would have. So that might be why it doesn't get a long line. It probably gives a lot of people some headbanging and they don't like it. And I can understand that. I was there not that long ago. Basically a year ago. I couldn't handle those B&M restraints with the rock hard bars right next to your head. But I've gotten better at it now. But you can't just expect everybody to be able to do that, to figure it out. It takes a lot of time, a lot of practice. And you gotta try some different things. Because what works for me may not work for you. And there might be some people, there's nothing they can do. But for those who have figured it out and who like the ride, it's good for us. That just means we get to ride it more because of short lines. Alright, what I said earlier about this being a mid-level GCI, forget that. I just had to give it time to warm up. And I kind of suspected that too. That sometimes these GCIs, you just gotta let them warm up. You ride them first thing when the day first starts, whenever that is. It's gonna ride a little sluggish by its standards. Give it time to heat up, and man, it is hauling now. The airtime was much stronger, it was more intense. Earlier in the evening, I was giving Railblazer praise for the short lines, being able to walk right on. Yeah, it ain't that way now. Last hour of park operations after 10 o'clock on a school night. And the line is really, really long now for some reason. So with pretty much everything else, at the park being a walk-on right now, Railblazer has about a 45-minute line. So it's not just Fiesta Texas and Wonder Woman. So can't blame it on them or that ride. This is very appealing to a lot of people. It's just very unique, very different from any other type of coaster. Single rail, sitting by yourself, straddling a rail. It may not ride as good as the hybrids or the RMC wooden coasters, in my opinion, but it's still very unique and it's going to draw a crowd just for that. But yeah, you can walk right on Gold Striker right now. Gold Striker has no line, but this has a really long line. Gold Striker and Flight Deck both have no line. I've been taking advantage of those. Glad I got my 4 rides in early on this. You might get stronger airtime on a couple moments in the back, but I think the front has some advantages on some of the moments, especially on the dive loop. The dive loop is definitely better in the front row. Second drop after the S turn. I like that better in the front row. And it's cool how it dives into and out of the rock work. So my first and only day at California's Great America, and I only had 5 hours. They were open 6 to 11. And it basically felt like a fast pass day because I was able to walk onto most rides throughout the night. The only exception was the Wild Mouse, and then that last ride on Railblazer. Everything else I was walking on. So yeah, definitely can't complain about that. And as far as the quality of the rides and the quality of the park, that's not enough time to really get a fair assessment of the park, but it definitely seems like a great park. Maybe not an elite level, but still really good.